Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Hometown Musician Spotlight. And we are coming to you from Finnegan's, one of the stomping grounds of my guest today, Mr. James Gedda of James Gedda and the Big Breakfast. How you doing, James?
Good, man. Thanks for
All right.
Yeah.
Big Breakfast.
About the earliest I've been here. It's,
Hey, I know. Big Breakfast sounded good by
breakfast time, yeah.
Maybe go across the street and have a big breakfast.
Maybe so, we'll see.
And then back here for some black coffee and
Brown liquor.
Hey, which, by the way, is the lead-off song from the amazing new album by the Big Breakfast called South of Mars.
Yeah.
And we will be digging deeply into those tracks in just a little bit. But now we're going to dig and find out James's story. James, where were you born? Where did you grow up? What schools did you go to?
Born and raised in Crown Point. Went to Maryville schools because we were on like the Maryville side of Crown Point. And then, went to college at Ball State in Muncie and came back up here and honestly putzed around for kind of the back half of my 20s, figuring out what it meant to be an adult. And then made friends with Jack Whittle, who, mainstay of these parts. And he introduced me to this music scene, this place, all the folks I need to know. Introduced me to Mr. Scott Larson on the wall over there and Dick Kazonis. And, all went downhill from there.
Yeah. Well, it was a person, place, or thing that first got you interested in music as a young man?
I mean, it was always around, especially like the old school country stuff. A lot of my mom's side of the family's from the South, and my dad loves old country music. So it was always there. I didn't really start taking notice of it until I got to be about a teenager. Mm-hmm. My voice started dropping. Like, my voice had been this low at 12.
Yeah.
But then, you start feeling your emotions a little harder as you get older. Yeah. And those sad old songs start hitting when you're a depressed kid writing poetry in high school. Yeah. So, got a guitar my senior year for Christmas and started writing songs when I was in college. And it just kind of snowballed. So I guess it was just kind of absorb the music throughout most.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you touched on your voice. And, I remember the first time I saw you play. You're playing right here as one of these first two tables over there. And I'm just here with friends, probably not knowing what's coming up. But the minute you, took that mic, you command the room. Your voice, it really, people will turn and, hey, who's this? And you are definitely, blessed with that. And it just seems like it fits that country so well.
It does, yeah. Everything I sing kind of sounds a little country anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll cover random songs, especially if I'm playing in a bar somewhere and I play at this place in Chicago. It's a younger crowd and wild. So I'll try and play stuff to get their attention, catch them off guard, like Valerie or something like that. And, even then it sounds country just because of the way my voice sounds.
Yeah.
It's a pretty natural fit.
Yeah. I meant to bring that CD in with me, but I'd like to talk to you in depth before we forget about some of these songs. Well, in this place, I can tell really inspired a few of the songs. And let's talk about I Love Finn and Tuesday Night.
Yeah. This inspired by the jam night here, Mainstay. We were just talking off camera about how it's, the wildest party you'll find around these parts on a Tuesday. Music from about 9:30 to 1 in the morning, different bands every half hour to 45 minutes. A lot of folks watching this are going to know about the jam night, I'm sure. But, it really taught me about the fun of playing music with other people. And, it's such a bonding point of this community. It's kind of the central hub.
Yeah.
And so it just felt, especially after the years of playing here, and Scott Larson passed away, it started as an ode to him, and all this, because that was really one of the first times I saw the community all really come together and be there for each other. And so it was it started as an ode to him, then turned into more of a ode to this whole thing that we got, how special it is. Because, I used to think, well, this is just, just a suburb, right? There's probably one of these everywhere. And the further out I travel, I've been all over the country playing music. It's like, talking to other musicians, a party like the jam night is on a Tuesday is pretty hard to find outside of a major music city or something like that, But it came about pretty naturally. And in the track, there's actually a little Easter egg in the last verse. There's a little bit of Scott Larson laughing inserted into the track. I made sure Mark Adrian, who produced the album, tracked that down and inserted a little bit.
Yeah, wow. When you talk about the cast, it's just Mark Adrian, Jack Whittle, Stefan Jude, Kevin Martirosian, and then your friend from Texas. That's boy, you're talking about some great musicians.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Joe Marsnick's on keys for a couple songs.
Right,
yeah. No, I wanted it to be a community effort, because I put out solo stuff before, and I love solo acoustic stuff, but it's like, if I was going to do a full band project and a full album, I kind of wanted as many hands on the ball as possible to show where my full band sound comes from, you know, and the people that kind of helped me find it all. So yeah, I definitely wanted as many guest players on as possible. Ian Gill plays, the only bass solo on the album on, Mr. Right Now. You know, and he contributes a bunch of backing vocals, as does, Sarah Barrientes, also tremendously talented and good friend of mine. Yeah, it was, the album was a community effort, which I like. When it came out, it was mine, but it felt like it was more than mine, you know?
Yeah, jumping around the album, you just mentioned Mr. Right Now. I just love that. I play that one a lot.
That's a funny one.
Yeah, and everybody should have one of those friends, you know, Mr. Right Now, because that's the guy who's kind of carefree. Hey, let's just party and we ain't gonna worry about tomorrow, you know.
That's an old song now. Like, that song's probably about a decade old, most of these songs were written by a younger version of me who had a little bit more fun. Well, maybe not more fun, but definitely got into more trouble. But yeah, Mr. Right Now, that's always been a mainstay. Like, one of the fun parts of like playing at jam nights, like here at Finn's or open mics or things like that, when you play around the same people a lot, you start to develop like local hits. Right? Like, you know, no, this isn't getting played in the radio or anything like that. But like, anytime I go out, people want to hear a lot of the old, like Mr. Right Now or another song on the album, Sleeping Around. Like, those were kind of my local hits that, like, there's been so many different versions of it played on stage with different musicians and things like that. So it's, Mr. Right Now was an essential one to have on the record for sure.
So Townes, I had to look up who Townes Van Zandt was, by the way, to give me some clarity on that. But the work on that, the bed of music that's underneath, I just love that song. And the story in itself, you know, it's about that person who's fighting those inner battles, has a load on his mind, or her, and is just too afraid to just touch their friend and and let it out. So, do you have an inspiration for that one?
It did. The story kind of suggested itself. I knew I wanted to write a song about that type of character, and inspired by the music of Townes Van Zandt, who, for those who don't know, was a tremendous country and folk singer-songwriter, very melancholic, a lot of slow, sad, contemplative, minor key songs, but just a tremendous writer. He would probably, his most known song is Poncho and Lefty, which ended up being a hit for Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard, but just a giant back catalog of great songs. And then I started writing it, and it's a story song. And I didn't even really think about the perspective of it and where it was coming from until I was almost done writing it. You know, like, some people probably write stories or story songs like they have the whole full plot plotted out. Anytime I've written like a very narrative song, it's always just kind of, the narrative suggests itself to me as I'm going. You know, oh boy, I want to see how this ends. And I wasn't until I was nearly done with the song that I realized, like, it's being written from the perspective of his wife, who watches this guy come home every night and throw himself around the den or whatever and drink him when he ought not to, when he should be taking care of his kids, because it comes from a place of, a lot of us grew up in an era where it's like, well, if you're a boy, you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to, you tuck your emotions in and you just, straight face in the face of everything. And, it's like, but thankfully we live in a more understanding age where it's like, no, that's not healthy. It's not that. That's how you develop alcoholism, substance abuse, or worse problems, things like that. So, it's about a guy who's and the burden he puts on his family because he doesn't have a healthy outlet for his negative emotions and his trauma and his pain besides sad music and booze. And, it's a weeper. But my friend Jason Ray Harold from Texas, plays fiddle on that one. Tremendous, Texas country fiddle player. And, I knew I wanted him on that because, I did a podcast interview with him a few years ago, him and another friend of his. And in the course of it, I was playing some songs as we were talking, and I played that one and neither of them had heard it. And Jason, after I got done playing it, was so bowled over that I couldn't talk for a couple minutes. And, so then that registered with me because that's what you're looking for when you're writing a sad song, especially for people who know sad songs. So it hit him so hard. I was like, well, I got to get him on the track for that. And, I wanted to try and capture the feeling of the fiddle player, with Kyle Nix on Turnpike Troubadours records, the tremendous country rock band going around these days. And so, yeah, Townes is maybe it's hard to pick a favorite, but it's one of my favorites just because, that was a newer song at the time of recording, but it just shot itself up like the candidate list,
Yeah.
And we ended up doing a music video for it. It was a lot of fun. You can find that on YouTube. And it's, Ian Gill, another local mainstay, and also helped on the record, playing the character, and he's throwing himself around Jack Whittle's living room, drinking real whiskey because he didn't want to use stunt whiskey or apple juice because he wanted to get into character. But it's a fun piece of work, Townes, Townes.
Yes, great song.
Yeah.
On one of the lighter sides, you have a song that is Steve Goodman-esque.
Yeah.
And that would be the Traveling Bar Band Blues.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun song.
Talking bar band blues. Yeah.
I just get a big kick out of that song. And,
It's so self-indulgent. Yeah, that one gets a reaction wherever. And I think just because it's so on the face humorous, it's written in such a way that like talking blues songs it's a folk and a blues music tradition where it's, usually a guy talking about an occupation or something like that. And the punchline is always framed in such a way it's pretty obvious, like even if it's not the most funny line in the world, it's like this is where he's supposed to laugh. This is where the break is. This is where the tension resolves. That's it. That came about just, it felt very self-indulgent. I'm a musician. I'm a working musician. I'm a gripe about stuff working musicians have to gripe about. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, that one always goes over well. And it's a fun song. I think it's the only straight solo acoustic song on the record because it felt like one of those where it's like, we could put more on it. We can cover it up, but like, it doesn't really need anything else.
That's where I got that Steve Goodman.
Yes. Yeah. Steve Goodman is high praise. I appreciate it. Yeah.
And, probably the last one I'll mention on there, what we call Lonesome Lullaby.
Lonesome Lover's Lullaby. Yeah. The closing track.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the oldest song on the record. I think that song's about 12 years old or something like that. And that one, it's evolved over the years, but that's always been, I like playing that with Jack Whittle because I like him harmonizing with me on it. And it's it's a sweet song, and it feels almost like a ballad, but it's not slow. It's, it checks off a lot of boxes of like what I like a song to have, especially a song like that might be in like the middle of a set or something like that. And for the track on the album, it was the last thing we recorded during the first weekend of principal recording, where we all got together in Mark's studio in Griffith. And, we were mostly all playing together to get the drums right because we wanted the drums to feel live. And for those who don't know, when you're making a record, usually everything is recorded over and recorded separately, and you just have the bass, which is called a scratch track. Well, we wanted to have scratch tracks for everything else, but we wanted the drums to feel live. We wanted Kevin Martirosa's drums to feel like he was playing with all of us right there, because he's the type of drummer who might not play the same thing the same way twice, or, he brings a lot of ideas. He's very reactionary and dynamic. So it's like, didn't want to isolate him, to like a click track and just play to that. So we spent the whole weekend going over all the songs and getting the drum parts recorded. And then after that was all done, Mark sets up a couple of microphones and he says, James, why don't you just let's do a couple of the solo ones here and we'll just get them down, just so we have something. I said, okay. And, I'm so fried from singing all weekend and tired. And, you can hear it in the track because the song the version that we ended up using was the initial scratch track that we were intending to go over.
Yeah.
But Mark gets back to me at one point when he's going over the songs. He goes, the energy in this is so good and it feels so fitting for the song. It's just very raw. I think we need to just use this and not do anything else with it. I said, okay, yeah, I'm happy to do that, because on the track, at the time, it was just me, guitar, harmonica. And then, we added a little bit more to it. I'm glad we did, because I was working on the guitar parts with Jack at his house. He was recording his parts separately, his final parts. And I always like when you harmonize with me on Lonesome Lover's Lullaby, and maybe we could find a good weird guitar tone for it. And he was playing around, and he had a baritone guitar, which is a guitar that's set lower, tone-wise and note-wise. And he played with a slide, just real dreary and drony. And it gives it real ethereal feel that we really fall in love with. And that's how the song of the record came about. Yeah. It's a really proud of that one. That, like, I love different things about all the songs, but that one, it felt like the perfect closer because I sound tired when I'm singing it. It's perfect for a lullaby.
Yeah. Now, is this your initial album with the Big Breakfast?
Yeah. We've been playing together for years, different incarnations, different band members, because everybody around here is in 2 or 3 projects, especially the good musicians.
Yeah.
Which, I try and surround myself with good musicians because they hide my less than good musicianship sometimes. I'm not trying to downplay myself. But yeah, this is our first thing we all recorded together. We've done some like in studio video stuff, we've done some stuff, but we've been intending to do this for years. The album itself, like, it took us the better part of 3 years to put out.
Wow.
From when we started to when it was all finished, just because, as we talked about before, off camera, I can intend to do a lot of things, but then time gets away from me. Playing shows, switching back to, personal life and making sure you're taking care of all the people you need to take care of and, keeping your social boxes checked and all that. So it just got away from me. So it took us 3 years to make. And then even before that, me and Jack had a false start of trying to record a Big Breakfast album a couple of years before that. But, not trying to, ifs and buts and all that, it's like, because I think about that sometimes. I didn't start playing music around here until I was in my late 20s. And it's probably a good thing, because when I started playing music around here just out of college in my early 20s, I'd have gotten in a lot more trouble, made a lot more mistakes.
Yeah.
I think similarly, if we'd have recorded the Big Breakfast album like 5-6 years ago, when we were really starting to get into a groove of playing together, I don't think it would have felt this good. Like, especially when we did the big release show at EAT, we had about like 65 to maybe 70 people out. And that was really humbling because, I'm predominantly a bar musician. I play for the people that are already there who didn't know there was going to be music and are probably just trying to watch the Bears game, and that's my soccer trick. Steph Jude calls them, wallpaper gigs. Sometimes you're the entertainment, but a lot of time you're just you're the background.
Yeah.
And so it was really, humbling and bowled me over to see that many people go out of their way and pay money at the door to come see me and my boys do our thing. And, it was, probably my favorite show I've ever played. Yeah. And that was back at EAT in November after the release.
Yeah. Where do you find, most of, or is there a time or a place where you find, your best inspiration for writing songs?
Honestly, usually on long drives. You got a lot of long drives in this line of work. And that's when, usually listen to music or, you just got time to yourself to think where you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
For the next 2-3 hours, it's just me in the car and, stop for gas when I need to. And that's it. So, find myself doing a lot of reflecting and that's when stuff will come out. And also a lot of my songs, especially that I've written in the last few years, just start off as me hitting the voice memo thing on my phone, tapping on the dashboard to find the meter, and then just kind of singing whatever first couple lines suggest themselves to me. And sometimes a whole song will get written that way, where it's like I'll think of the first verse, or I'll think of a little couplet or something like that, and I'll record that, and then like 10 minutes down the road, I'm like, all right, well, I got that down. I'll finish that when I get home. I'll think of another verse or another little bit of it. So there's been entire songs that have been pieced together that way, from like 8 to 10 little voice memos on my phone of little like 20-30 second snippets. And so the songs come, when they hit me, they hit me. But a lot of time it's when I got some good downtime and I'm not thinking about other things,
Have you had people come up to you in a place and just compliment you on your voice?
Oh yeah. That's,
we didn't expect it.
All the time. Yeah. It catches people off guard, I think. Which is good.
Yes.
It's nice to get people to turn around.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of the whole goal is, make folks stay for one more drink. Make folks stay for, if they got food, maybe they stick around and get dessert or something like that. So it's a good tool to have, but it is something I forget about sometimes, that like the low end of my voice is unique. Because, as a performer, you want to challenge yourself. So a lot of time I'll try and like push my vocal and sing higher or sing harder, and I've gotten a lot better at it. That's the stuff I've had to work at. But sometimes I do forget that like it's okay to stay in your comfort zone, especially because my comfort zone is a range where like not a lot of folks singing around here. So yeah, the low end of my voice, it gets people's attention. Folks enjoy it. Sometimes I forget how useful a tool it is to have.
Well, you mentioned pushing yourself out. If you had a musical ladder of aspirations, what would be the next rung that you'd like to reach for? Is there some other aspect of this business, another instrument, another project that you're thinking?
Yeah, we have me and Jack and a couple of our friends, me and Jack in particular, I was thinking like, oh, it'd be fun to have a side band like this or something like that. We're working on something right now, and we have a Facebook page up for it, but we're still working on finding the right initial show to play for it. But we're starting a Johnny Cash tribute band called Short on Cash because we're short on cash. Right now it's every little bit of extra scratch. And like we're talking about my voice, that's the stuff that comes easy. And I've been singing Johnny Cash since I was 16. Mm-hmm. So it's just something I kind of take for granted. It was like, it was like my formative years of learning music. And then you kind of grow up, you grow up, and you find other things. But when we started talking about doing this project, it was actually Mark's idea. And because tribute bands like around here especially can get some of those nice slots at like summertime festivals and things like that, because it's music people know and care about. You don't have to make them care about it if they already do. So we've been trying to get that off the ground. It's still early days. But yeah, keep an eye out for that one. Short. Okay.
Yeah. I in my eyes, this Northwest Indiana musical community is just thriving. It's abundant, and I know you've kind of touched on it before, but if you could once again encapsulate what this scene has meant to you, your songwriting and your career.
Yeah, this scene is a special thing. I've never been one in my life that kept a very big social circle. Mm-hmm. I have friends. I wasn't exactly alone or anything like that, but I've not ever been the most outgoing guy in the room. And so it's been really interesting over the last decade of my life, to get in this community and make so many friends and acquaintances and to, know on any given Tuesday night or music, I can walk into this bar or other bars around here and, I'll bump into 8 to 10 to 12 people that I'm going to be super happy to see, and that I can, pick up a conversation with just like that. Yeah. And musically, it's kind of an iron sharpens iron thing, because if I'm sitting in the back on a Tuesday at a jam night, listening to everybody else go, like Keith Jackson, Jack Whittle or Mark kicking the night off, Rodney Golson, we got so many talented folks around here. It's like, if it's getting towards the back half of the night and I still haven't played, I'm not a competitive person at all, but it puts a certain pressure like, all right, I gotta bring it. I start thinking and overthinking and second guessing the songs I was wanting to do because it's like, all right, like I wanted to do this one that I'm kind of trying out, but like, no, I think now like the way the night's going, I got to keep the momentum going. So play the hits a little bit, kind of bring the, bring the energy, or it depends on, who I'm playing with because that can inspire a lot too. Like, another song on the record, The Ballad of Barbara Regular. That one, when I wrote that one, I played it out and a Beer Geeks jet. Going off of Beer Geeks. I missed that bar, missed that jam, that Fresh Hops hosted. And, I played it with the boys. And, Stefan, after we got done, I think that was the last song he said, he leans over, he's just like, is that one going to be on the record? Because I had started talking about recording an album by then. Of course, that was 4 years ago or something like that. I go, yeah, I think that is going to be. It's the one I'm playing on. And so I remember that years later, and, he plays amazing violin on that track and a few on the record. But yeah, that's, a lot of ideas and stuff and little adjustments to songs also come about from playing them with people. Yeah. You might think something works in isolation when you're by yourself, but like, especially if a song I intend to be a full band song, if you try it out on a jam night or something like that and it doesn't quite work or there's something funky about it, not even necessarily that needs to change, but it's like, all right, this is the part I didn't even know this would be like a pain point of this song. Now I know. So it's like either got to communicate it clear next time or rework it in some way where it makes more sense without getting too into the weeds. There's no better test for a new song or something like that than in being in front of people. And being in front of people also who like know your stuff and like guys like Mark or Jack or Ian or Stefan who aren't afraid to tell me like, hey man, I don't know about that one. Or like,
they're honest with you.
No, exactly. So it's an indispensable tool. Yeah.
Before I get to the last two fun questions, can you let us know how to follow you, how to follow Bed Bread? Give us all your...
Yeah, so all my shows are going to be on jamesgeddamusic.com. That's my website. And then also just James Gedda Music on Facebook, James Gedda on Instagram, all the social medias. Just look up James Gedda, and I'm bound to be the one that comes up, Gedda. And I post all about where I'm playing in particular on my website and on bandsintown.com and on my music page on Facebook.
Beautiful. I was going to open up by saying, let's get a move on this interview. I forgot that. But anyway, so fun question number one. And I might even think I know the answer to this. But if you could trade places with any musician, dead or alive, past or present, for a whole weekend, who would that person be?
For just 1 weekend. Okay. That probably with knowing I'm going to be me again by Monday. That's an interesting question. You know what? It's, I think I'd be, for 1 weekend, I'd love to be Willie Nelson like the late 70s. Because I see clips that's been some of my favorite live clips to look up recently. That, it's almost jammy in a way that's reminiscent like The Dead or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a little more structured, and the band's just super tight, and you can tell they've done, even by then, by the mid 70s, hundreds of shows together. And this is Willie Nelson when he first started growing his hair out, growing the beard, because before that you find old pictures of Willie Nelson in the 60s when he was in Nashville trying to be a Nashville country singer, slick back hair, shaved, wearing a suit. And he got that system kind of chewed him up and spit him out like it did a lot of people. So he went back down to Texas, grew his hair out, and started figuring out, I can play country music with and for some of these hippies down here in Austin. And then that's how he became who he became. And I think, that'd be fun to do that for a weekend.
Cool. All right. And the last one, if there was any one room, past or present, any shed, any stadium, any one place that you have never played that would be your pinnacle place to play.
There's an easy answer for my type of music. It'd be the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. I have a song on a previous EP called "Never Play the Ryman," and it's kind of me making my peace with that's the ultimate. Like, might never get there, but I'm still kind of okay with where I'm at. We'll see. But, that's definitely the thing. Even if I could get up there for one song, for something like that, that'd be knowing like, okay, I did all right. Everything else is kind of gravy. After that, the longer I do this, the more I realize like, I never really wanted to be famous or, headliner on big giant tours or anything like that. But just being able to get to a point of functional touring, being able to play decent sized rooms filled with people that want to hear the songs I'm playing. That's the goal, being able to support myself and the people I care about. That's the goal. And that's still a lofty goal in this day and age of this line of work. But being able to play a song at the Run would be pretty neat.
Man, that is cool. I hope I'm there when that happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'd like to tell everybody, I've really enjoyed this South of Mars album. If you haven't listened to it, give it a listen. It truly is 13 songs, 52 minutes. You're going to get your money's worth, I promise you. Well, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Hometown Musician Spotlight. I'm so happy to have James Gedda with me.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, brother.
Good talking to you, brother.
And until next time, peace, everybody.